Thank you, honorable members, too, for an opportunity to join in this debate. Uh, Motion brought by Mr. Chair Duncan in respect to decriminalization of marijuana. And I have to say, Mr. Speaker, my vision, my perception of our circumstances may be fairly limited. But I believe that the very fact that we're here debating such a motion, speaking to move the quantities of marijuana which persons could hold and not be criminalized for holding it from 15 to 500 grams, the 1.1.102 pounds, 20 times what it is today. Mr. Speaker, this is a parliament for sure of still an evolving democratic country, but the parliament has had many story debates, many interesting discussions, a lot of introspection, and serious views have been exchanged in relation to how we govern our country in a parliament, in a country which we own now. And we have the critical responsibility, Mr. Speaker, to make sure, as I always like to say, at the end of the day, for people like myself, when I'm gratefully dead, that I want to make sure that we hand over a better life to the next generation, a better life than we ourselves have had. But here it is, sir. We're carrying on in a debate which disgraces this parliament. It disgraces the parliament. There's no way that this type of debate should be entertained in this parliament. It should have been struck down the minute it was proposed. It should have been struck down. And I'm glad that the honorable member reminded us, the honorable Minister of Education, Ms. Priya Manakchan, reminded us about sanctimonious gangsterism in her presentation. The impulses which give rise to this type of debate can only come from persons who want to continue the issue and to put it at risk in respect of continuing on a path of gangsterism. Still sanctimonious. It could come from nowhere else. I am surprised to sit here and hear young men, Honorable Sherrod Duncan, Honorable Figuera, and worse yet, Honorable Roysdale Ford, a lawyer who will stand up in this parliament here and support such a proposal and go to lengths and make all kind of antics as to why this type of proposal should be carried in this House. Mr. Speaker, it could not be that they have a consideration really of the impact of drugs on the families. Drugs of all kinds, but let's talk about marijuana. that persons who use marijuana, who are addicts, lead to the breakup of families by way of their thefts, by way of misbehavior, by way of disorderly conduct in the communities, and are a constant source of criminal behavior in the communities, and it impacts the families negatively. Many families, many persons will tell you that even if someone is in prison for seemingly a smaller amount of marijuana, greater than 50, it's not simply that the small amount that they were caught for this time that was the issue, but it was the repeated behavior which was noted in the courts in respect of their behavior at home and in the communities, jumping houses, stealing TVs, stealing stuff from their parents' homes, getting into fights, being aggressive on the streets, constantly doing things to get some kind of money to feed the habit. So many persons who are in the prison for seemingly small amounts for which they were charged have a long history as being miscreants, criminals, in respect of the type of behavior they have conducted in their communities, which negatively impacts the family, the communities, and the wider society. Mr. Speaker, the discussion which we want to go into really relates to the motion the Honorable Attorney General would want to bring in respect of this problem, in respect of the approach we have to take to this problem. It appears to me that the persons on the other side of Mr. Duncan's presentation, honorable member, of course, so named honorable, that he wants and that they want to run interference on the motion that is being brought by the Honorable Attorney General. They want to confuse the issue. They want to enter, to distract and deflect real debate on the issues and the proper approach towards this problem. Mr. Chairman, the Honorable Member, the Minister for Sport, spoke about the correlation between free availability, decriminalized availability of marijuana, its correlation between increasing crime and new users of drugs and wider and generalized use of drugs. I would have to point out, even in the little community in which I am, some years ago when we went to the area, took my wife and daughter and went across to the football ground, nice ground, lights, a lot of energetic young men in the place. We could not stay there because people were stomping up and down, smoking marijuana openly. The spliffs the Honorable Minister of Education spoke of. And they didn't want any normal people, I suppose, around because they thought that their behavior and the activities they wanted to continue with would not be accepted by us. So we haven't gone back there. Sport in the community has suffered. The togetherness, the unity, the development and building in the communities are damaged as a result of that. Because they're criminal networks, they're the users, they're the persons who want to keep people as addicts because all they care about is selling drugs. They have no interest in developing the communities. no interest in developing the family, no interest in developing the country. I'd like to ask the other side if that is the kind of behavior, if that is the kind of persons the bill, the proposal that they have is intended to relate to. It could only be that demographic that they want to tie into, to lock into with the behavior, that kind of behavior. We have had a history in this country, a fairly recent, where the opposition, some time ago in government, elements amongst them joined up with criminal persons. We had the more fire, slow fire. We had a criminalized enterprises in Buxton and other places. We had a lot of difficulties, massacres and so forth. A lot of people got hurt. Our development was constrained. This is the kind of demographic, this is the kind of people that this bill would want to foster. This is the kind of people they want to support and develop. They have had, on the opposite side in government, 5 years in government, 5 plus 5 or more in the recount process, in their attempts to rig elections in this country to undermine our democracy. And I hear them again talking again that they want to support and develop youth in Buxton, youth in Mocha, and other places. 5 years in which they did nothing for those people, and now they love them again, having done nothing for 5 years, having had every opportunity. Sanctimonious gangsterism, that is what this is about. You don't care about people. You care about yourselves. That's what you care about, who you care about. Mr. Speaker, one of the big problems here is the question of who runs the APNU+AFC. Why would persons, a lawyer like Honorable Member Harman and Honorable Member Ramjatan, who I'm hoping will speak, why would they allow any junior member who just joined their ranks to bring such a proposal here on the floor of this House? It's disgraceful. It's disgraceful. Sir, the problem we seem to have, Mr. Speaker, is that we have people, and particularly worrying young parliamentarians just joined, who are incapable of rational debate, who are incapable of proper introspection about their country, who are incapable of, who shouldn't be in this House if they bring such a proposal on the floor of this House. Should not be in this House. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Speaker, the bringing of this motion is one which is beyond any reason, any rational reason. No family, no community in this country will support it. No family and no community in this country will support that people can have over 1 pound of marijuana for themselves and that is not a criminalizing holding of those materials. No family, no community, no rational person, only criminals have an interest in that. And so, any person who would bring this here as criminal impulses, irrational impulses. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Figueroa stood up in this house. Honorable member, still honorable, sir. And he said that 30,000 tons of cocaine were shipped out. Exactly. So that is what he implied. That is the implication shortly after we came to government. Mr. Speaker, our understanding of this problem is that the accumulation of the cocaine took several months, mostly during the period when the country was in a political impasse created by the attempts to rig, to undermine our democracy by the APNU+AFC. That is when it happened. That is when the oversight was lost. Mr. Chairman, the only thing I could say really further to this matter is that the still honorable gentleman somehow should withdraw his motion, should let us bring back some semblance of rational thought and behavior and debate on the floor of this honorable house. I would be horrified, or I think any school kid coming up would be horrified to read the Hansard of this debate here today on this subject. But we know and we understand, and it's shameful and hurtful too, that young men who have entered the halls of this parliament, of this assembly, would behave in ways which I have to remind us of what Martin Carter said in one of his poems. Vultures practicing to wait. That is what we have here. That is the kind of behavior. Criminal impulses brought this motion to this floor of this house.
Point of order,
and it should be denied completely.
Comrade Speaker, point of order. Standing Order 41-6. No member shall impute improper motive of any member of the House, and that is exactly what the Honourable Minister just did, and we beg that it be withdrawn.
Honourable Minister, please. If you don't withdraw, we will have to strike it out.
Mr. Speaker, I withdraw that remark in the expectation that the gentlemen will modify their behavior and their debate in respect of this matter and as we go forward into other debates. Thank you.